Let me quickly come to our studios here because I did say that this was going to be a two-part conversation. One is on mitigating what has already happened, and the other is preventing a possible disaster. Residents of Mpape here in the FCT have been reporting tremors felt in that particular area. Do they have anything to be afraid of, despite assurances by authorities that there is nothing to be afraid of? Well, we do have an expert in-house this morning. He is none other than Dr. Dodo Joseph Danasabe, who is the director of Center for Geodesy and Geodesy, beg your pardon, and Geodynamics, Toro in Bauchi State. It's an activity center of excellence of the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASTRA. Thank you so much for joining us this morning in our Abuja studios.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is where we are right now. We've seen what has happened in Maiduguri. We've been told that it was highly preventable with the dams not being checked when they ought to have been checked, and the dam broke, and we can see what has happened. Right now, residents have cried out now that they have felt something. You are an expert in this particular areas. We've been told that the FCT is not entirely prone to earthquakes. Is that still the situation?
Not quite.
Okay.
Yeah. Once again, thank you for having me. We've made it severally known to the Nigerian public in respect to the activities that have been going on in Mpape. Let me just take you back a little bit. Sometime, to be precise, on the 7th of September in 2018, we had a similar incident in Mpape. And there was an earth tremor in Mpape in 2018 on the 7th of September. And during that earthquake, or earth tremor rather, what happened was that we were able to track it, we were able to monitor to know exactly what is happening. At that time, you know, there was divergent view from the public. A lot of people were saying it's as a result of the blasting, the mining, and other activities, mining activities going on in Mpape. We really carried out an extensive investigation, and from the geological point of view, we should understand that Mpape axis falls within the northern Nigerian basement complex, and is made up of the rocks at magmatite and gneiss. And the Mpape we are talking about, from our aeromagnetic studies, reveals that there are a lot of tectonic activities that have been going on. So it falls on what we call a fault zone. A fault zone is that area that is like, it's a weak area, and is as a result of the movement of some of those rocks that are within that area. So when those rocks begin to disintegrate, and there is a kind of a discontinuity of the rock mass that begin to move, it results to displacement. And once it results to displacement, it's as a result of the volume of that rock mass that begins to move. And from the aeromagnetic study that is carried out, is extended from Mpape, moving up to Kachia, to Kagarko, and to Kwei in Kaduna State. And don't forget also, coincidentally, in September 2016, Kwei had a similar experience. So the Center for Geodesy and Geodynamics, which I supervise under the Space Agency, we were able to carry out an investigation to determine what actually is happening in that 2016. And we were able to understand that that area is automatically sitting on a fault zone. And it wasn't quite long. On the 7th of September 2018, it happened again in Abuja, and with a magnitude of about 3.0, a magnitude that we had.
3.0?
3.0.
On the Richter scale, right?
Yeah.
Is that an earthquake we're measuring?
It is an earthquake we are measuring. And we had a focal depth of about between 10 to 15 kilometers. That was in 2018. What happened on the recent one that happened, we were looking at it from that perspective. But from what we have discovered, it is not as a result of the mining activities, the blasting that people were thinking. We have come to somehow conclude that yes, based on the historical and geological investigation that has been carried out long ago, if you go down to the southwest, there is a fault that comes from Ifewara in Osun State. It extended up to Zungeru. And from that Zungeru, coming up to Abuja, moving towards the Mpape axis, and then extending up to Kachia, Kwe.
Okay.
So,
just because we're pressed for time, and
yeah.
I know that a lot of these things are technical.
Yeah.
What I want you to do is break it down as much as possible.
I'm trying to break it down.
To say, you know, precisely to residents who are,
yes.
you know, who are feeling what they are feeling. They
yes.
know what they are feeling.
Yes.
Right now, what exactly, because the authorities say, oh, we have stationed some equipment there. We don't think that there's any cause for alarm. Do you think that there is any cause for alarm?
There is no cause for alarm, in the sense that the agency, we've established equipment that we use to, that enables us to carry out the measurement. But don't forget that earthquake is a natural phenomenon which cannot be stopped by human being. But what we could do is to carry out a monitoring to be able to come out with an early warning. We may not be able to say that this is the day it will happen, or the time, the hour it will happen, and all of that. But we will be able to look at some signatures that we will be getting from our monitoring equipment. Then we can now say, from what we are seeing, there's that likelihood of an event of this nature is going to happen. So what we are doing, what we are trying to do now is that, having known that Mpape is within that fault zone, the agency, and in collaboration with other agencies, we are coming up with what we call a kind of a building code. So that building code is to be able to, a seismic building code. And that code is able to enable those that are carrying out construction to embed it when they are carrying out any kind of construction in those areas. It happens in other countries like Japan and others. They have their own building code. You don't just build anyhow because of the weak, because that area is a weak zone. So when you build, there are some mechanisms that you need to put in place so that it makes your structure to withstand any kind of vibration that will come up. So this, we are now going into that extent for now. We are going to that direction for now.
So right now, the residents of Mpape need to know that Mpape sits on a fault zone.
Yes.
And it is not completely ruled out that an earthquake can happen.
Yeah, it's not completely ruled out. But what we are saying is that it has not gotten to that magnitude that they should begin to exercise that fear. But what we need to let them know is that as time goes on, when we develop these seismic building codes, it's going to enable them in terms of putting up structures in those areas. So those structures will be able to withstand any kind of vibration that will come up. But it has not gotten to that level yet.
Okay. But for those who have already put up structures, what are they supposed to do with the structures?
Yeah, for those that are putting up, they've already put the structures. There is nothing we can do in that regard, but to be able to still let them know that this is the way to go. Subsequently, when you are putting up structures in those areas, this is what you need to do.
Okay, so right now, you did say that there was a let's say, and I fear to use the word earthquake because the authorities haven't quite used that word. But a tremor,
yeah.
And we recorded something that was 3.0 on the Richter scale. It's just, you know, two marks away from where we start to see that the earth is shifting somewhat. When did you say we recorded this again? Yeah,
we recorded that in 2018.
2018?
That is September.
7th of September 2018.
Yeah, when we had one of the earthquakes in Mpape 2018. That is what now triggered us to start doing an intensive investigation, research. So we have the space agency, we got an intervention after that earthquake. So we've been able, or let's say a tremor, we've been able to set up our equipment. Right now, if you go to Mpape at the government science secondary school, we have a station that we have set up there. It's an integrated monitoring station that comprises of one of our two different types of our sensors that we monitor. We carry out the monitoring. And then we also set up one at a government science secondary school at Maitama. We have a station there, and also another one in our national headquarters of the space agency. And we want to now focus on Mpape itself, because since we've now discovered that it has becoming like a recurring decimal.
It's like an epicenter.
Yes, so of course it's an epicenter. So in the coming days, we intend to set up what we call an episodic points. The episodic points are, we will establish different monitoring points. We will be coming there periodically to be taking some measurement, getting data from the satellites, and also taking data from the ground using our seismometers. And then we'll be doing constant data investigation to be able to look at, to ascertain what actually is happening, so that we'll be able now to give the early warning. And follow up to that, we are also looking forward to automating the entire station. And the automation is that data will be streamed to our center in Toro. So once data goes to our center in Toro, we'll keep doing a kind of a real-time monitoring. And that's where we are going into the real-time monitoring now.
So, but let me get this straight. You say that the fault line extends all the way to Kachia and Kwei and
axis in Kaduna State.
In Kaduna State.
Yes.
You can't just go to Kaduna State. There are a few states along the way. Does it get to Nasarawa? Does it go through Nasarawa?
I've told you the direction. Okay, the direction, the north is within the northeast southwest direction as it goes up to that axis. Okay. So if at all Nasarawa State extend to that axis, it means it falls within Nasarawa State as well.
All right. So in the meantime, what should residents do? What should we be doing?
In the meantime, I would say that the residents of Mpape should not panic. It's not something that they should somehow get worried, because information getting to us that some residents of Mpape have started relocating. So I don't think it has gotten to that extent of Mpape resident to start relocating. It hasn't gotten to that extent.
Okay. And you say you will let us know if there is any cause for concern?
Yes.
Indeed. Well, we have to thank you so much for your time with us this morning. I think that this has been very enlightening. Dr. Dodo Joseph Danasabe is the Director, Center for Geodesy and Geodynamics in Toro in Bauchi State. It's an activity center of excellence of the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASRA. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise this morning.
Thank you for having me.